Welcome back, guys. Another week and another episode to Double Dose of Raw Talk Podcast with your host, Miss D. And you are in for a ride with a very deep and intense episode about, I'll let you listen in. Enjoy. We should be good. Yes, we are. All right.
You crazy with this agenda. I'm like, oh, this is so juicy. I wish I had seen this like 2 days ago. I was like, it's better to be unprepared, actually.
Because then you can't really plan for it, right?
Right.
I can't. All right. So here we are, another week. You guys are tuning in to episode with your host, yours truly, Miss D, and you are tuning into Double Dose of Raw Talk Podcast, and we have a returning guest, guys. Woo-woo!
I'm back.
She's back. Y'all heard that? Y'all should know that voice already. That is the the only, actually. I was going to say the very, but no, the only Captain Kim.
That's right.
She's here with me. She's joining me on this very beautiful, it's Wednesday, right? I don't know why I always get confused with the days of the week. It's this quarantine shit. I can't figure it out no more. That's it. I'm all over the place. I can't. No, I can't. I was like, I'm still working from home, and I was addressing my team on something, thinking yesterday it was Wednesday and it was Tuesday. And everybody's like, Daisy, you got it wrong. Like, what are you talking about? That's for Wednesday. Today's Tuesday. I'm like, y'all take over. I'm out of this shit. I'm not doing nothing else. I sat out for the rest of the day. I couldn't anymore. I could
tap out.
I can't. Like, I was like, what are you guys doing? Is this, that, and the third? They're like, nah, D, like, you're wrong. Today's Tuesday, girl. I was like, oh shit, I'm done. Y'all take over. I'm not doing that now. So I took a seat in my house right here in front of the mic. And I actually ended up recording with someone too. That one was intense conversation. But today's conversation is going to be even more intense, guys. So before we continue, let me remind you guys, the one and only Captain Kim comes from Bustelos and, I'm going to say it, ready? Bustelos and Cigarillos.
Cigarillos.
Did I say it right? I said it right, guys. Cigarillos. I said it. If you want to hear how you really should say it, go listen to them. They're on every week on all platforms. I'm going to tag her, the pod she's part of, on the show description. They say it way better than I do. But we're going to start off this episode with a little game, guys. And I do not have any questions written out. Captain Kim has no questions written out. All right. So she's going to just throw at me, what we're going to do, 5 questions each?
What are we doing? Never have I ever, or just
never have I ever? No, never have I ever.
All right.
This can be open-ended questions. We just got to give it a yes, I have, or a no. Actually, that's not how we're going to respond, because we're feeling a little sassy today. I've been drinking some wine. And Captain Kim has with her, do you want to show what you have with? She has a flask, guys. She has a flask. And so the way we're rolling today is she's about to take a drink, a shot, I'm going to say. I'm going to take a sip. That's what we're going to do. Yes, that's how we're feeling on this Wednesday. And the way we're going to answer is, if we have, we're going to respond with and if we haven't, we're going to respond with nah. Okay? All right. Okay. So Captain Kim, I think you should start asking the host the questions.
Okay.
All right.
And if we're doing this never have I ever, it's got to be truthful on my part, right?
Of course. Well,
all right.
Yeah, I would say so, girl.
Let me dig for some questions. All right.
Here we go, guys.
Never have I ever dated or slept with a white guy.
Damn, does Greek count as white?
Yeah.
I'm gonna take a drink. That's gonna be my penalty. Every time I'm gonna take a fucking drink, guys. All right.
Greek, huh?
Yes, that was pretty interesting.
There's 2 sides to Greek. When I think Greek, I think like the muscular, shiny Greek And then I think of like the short, stumpy, hairy chest Greek.
He was actually a combination.
Okay.
He was a combination. And I have to say, I will never say his name ever. I never incriminate none of my men.
No, that's not what we're about.
That's not what I do. That's not how Double Dose does. But he was a freak. And like, I've had some freaks in my life, but my man was a freak. Like, I think he may take the trophy. Yes. You gotta see Captain Kim's face. But I got it. Yeah, the Greek. It was the Greek, guys. It was the Greek. I think he takes the trophy. Yeah, I think he takes the trophy. His mom was everywhere, all over the place. Yeah. Very open. Very open. Wow. Yes, extremely. Wow. Yeah. Okay. You know what happened? I had to like cut him off. Cold turkey. That's how intense it got. Yeah. All right, next question.
Goodness, I got caught up in that one.
Yes, that was intense.
Let's see. Never have I ever. Oh wait, that's not true. Wait, gosh, you got me searching here. Shit.
We may need to stick to just 3 questions, guys, because clearly we're having a hard time.
Oh, I am. Do you have a question? Maybe you should go back and forth.
Oh, okay. So let's do that. All right. Damn, but my truth might be that I actually did it. That's probably going to be my truth.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah, I actually did it. Damn. Fuck. Guys, this is bad.
It's bad when 2 females can't come up with things they really actually haven't
done. Right. Y'all, the whole phase life for me was a long time ago, but it's always time to revisit it. I'm just saying. I can always revisit that shit any day. Let me think. No, I've had sex like that. I've had sex there.
In that place.
In that position. I might have to shoot you with a question that I know I have, and I'm just gonna take a drink with you. Considering that you have to, and you can't say you never have. Never have I ever been whipped with a leather whip.
With a leather whip. Does a belt count?
It does count, yes. Just stop staring at the flask and just drinking with me. Let's just
do it.
Y'all, I didn't say if she got hit with a belt. I said whipped.
That wasn't abused, y'all.
I'm just it was consensual. She consented.
I consented.
Now here's what's interesting. I actually have never been whipped with a belt. I would like to know how that functioned. Like
you know, it's kind of like, well, if it was a thin belt, so it wasn't like
a thick one, like right? Not that childhood shit. It was,
and I guess it would feel like what I guess a whip would feel like.
It probably does. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna try it, and then I'm gonna let you know.
All right.
Yeah,
because it leaves the belt, though. It does.
Yeah.
Like the little,
Yeah.
Depends how hard you like to get hit.
It leaves evidence. It leaves evidence, guys. It does. All right, your turn.
All right. Never have I ever.
I'm just going to hold on to my glass.
Oh, had a threesome.
This is what I drink.
You have such telling eyes.
I did actually, but it was, let me be fair on that. It was like an amateur one because it wasn't like in a point of my life. It was.
What's the difference? Amateur?
Well, what I know today and what I've done up to today, like I didn't have that level of experience then. So I wouldn't say that like it was a threesome, but knowing what I know today and knowing what the threesomes are of today, like in your 30s, I guess you could say, is so different. Like I would have to like redo it. Not with the same people though. I would probably definitely not with the same people, but I would probably want to. No, I can't. But I would want to like I've entertained the idea of doing it again. But it's definitely like a trust factor for me. Like I have to trust
Yeah.
that person,
Yeah.
and then trust the person like we would choose to come into play with. But it would have to be a whole other level of open-mindedness today. Because
Yeah.
when I did that, I was much younger, and it was
Yeah.
so totally amateur. It was.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
Yeah, and it was only one time. I only did it one time.
Okay.
One time. Yeah. All right. Let's see. I'm gonna take it a little amateur now because believe it or not, there's some who will say, "Nope, never have." Never have I ever made out with a girl. All right. Cheers, guys. Cheers.
We're drinking. We're drinking.
We're drinking. Listen, this is the type of shit we're gonna raw talk today on different levels. Kim, don't get drunk on me now, Captain Kim, because we have a whole discussion.
No. I'm straight. I'm responsible. I brought my water with me.
Yes, I got water right there too. All right, your turn. What's that? 4 questions? 4? Well, that's 2 and 2. 2 and 2. So we have one more. One more for you.
All right. Let me see, Daisy.
Hold on, let me fix my hair so you can look at me, and then like you decide what am I gonna ask her.
Those eyes. Let me see.
People love my eyes. They're so big and beady.
Never have I ever.
Oh shit.
Goodness. I'm like.
Remember, Kim got to be able to say.
All right. Never have I ever gotten it on public transportation.
Damn. Shit.
Look at you.
Yes, I have. That was definitely one of my public places. Yes. It was on a bus.
On the bus, girl?
On the bus, girl, on the back. You know the really long buses?
Yes.
The one you got to go up those little stairs to go sit in the back? Out of all places, it was in the back. Yeah, I passed all them seats. All them seats. I could have chosen any other seat there. Nah, we chose
What time of the day was it?
Broad fucking daylight. I'm not even gonna lie to you. Broad fucking daylight. I was young.
The riskier, the better.
Yeah, I was young. And like we thought we was, because we had North Face jackets, so we thought we was slick with it. Nah, people knew what the fuck was going on. They was just minding their business and giving us a side eye. It is what it is. What the fuck am I gonna say? Y'all, I told you I'm from the Bronx. Like, what am I gonna say? We do some dumb shit sometimes. So yeah, that was definitely one of those times. And that was a long ride. That was the bus on. I don't know if you're familiar, but the Grand Concourse is like a lot of people traffic. It's a lot of car traffic, and it was the bus route on the Grand Concourse.
Oh, wow. Well, that's a good route to get it in then.
So bad. It's so bad. It's so bad. But yeah, I did it. I did. All right, let me think. Here goes the closing question for Captain Kim. Let's see. Never have I ever. I have to be the one to ask. Oh, well, I know I did this. Okay. So never have I ever introduced a man to using toys in the bedroom.
Introduce the man to using toys
in the bedroom. Like you would have been the one to introduce it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, she did. Damn, Kim. She did do it. Oh shit. I was hoping no one was like me. No. And this is why, ladies and gentlemen, that is the closing of Never Have I Ever, and why she and I are so cool. This is why we basically drank
you have it.
this whole time. Oh man,
it's hot in here.
It got hot, right? I'm wearing a fucking hoodie up to my neck. I can't take this shit off right now. It is what it is. So, that was a fun game. I definitely wanted to break the ice with that. One, because this is raw talk and it's shit we're gonna talk about. And two, because Captain Kim is my girl. All right, so Now that you guys know that about us, there's actually a little conversation that Captain Kim and I had the other day, and I wanted to break the ice just with a little game because, we got some shit to talk about today. We're gonna keep it very raw, and if you guys haven't up to now listened to my trailer, or if you guys have or read up on my show description, you would know that one of the many things I want to talk about here on this platform is, for one, relationships and relationships. And the
Mm.
reason, yes, it's two different things, guys, two very different things. And the reason why I want to talk about it is because y'all know how y'all see people putting up their shit on social media, like everything is all fine and gravy and fucking perfect. And the truth is, it's not always that way. So nobody have no perfect relationship, and most of the time you got to go through the shits to make it last or to make it work. So with that being said, Captain Kim and I have our own little tea in our own lives about shit we've been through in our many different relationships, whether it's
Oh,
been with partners or friends, maybe family, whatever the case may be. But I had actually told Captain Kim on Monday night, we're recording on Wednesday the 15th, Monday night on the 13th, it was the season 3 premiere of T.I. and Tiny, not Tina, T.I. and Tiny, Friends and Family Hustle. And season 3 premiered. And I've been waiting for this season. And I'm going to give you guys a little background as to why. Because some months ago, there was this social media frenzy of T.I. allegedly taking his daughter to the GYN to make sure that she's still a virgin. It was all over the shade room. It was all over blogs. It was everywhere. The poor girl Deja had to like shut down her IG. It was embarrassing to her. I am surely a T.I. fan. I am a T.I. fan. I love him. So when I saw that, I kind of wanted to look into it a little bit further to give him benefit of the doubt. And lucky for us, Jada Pinkett brought him on her show for him and Tiny to address those rumors, address that issue.
yeah,
It was an excellent episode
it was.
for Jada to have done that. It was amazing. But they also talked about their divorce slash separation because they ended up not getting a divorce. They ended up taking
Right.
back the divorce and they stayed together. And so on Monday, when the season 3 premiered, one of the first things Tiny says is, "We are back in the honeymoon phase."
Mm.
And so I found that interesting because a lot of people hold on to the honeymoon phase. A lot of people look forward to, being in all this bliss, like, everything is perfect, everything feels so warm, everything feels so good. Great. I get it. I've had honeymoon phases. Captain Kim, have you had honeymoon phases too?
I definitely have.
Absolutely.
Plenty.
Yes. It was just interesting to me knowing that we knew that they separated, filed for divorce, and they didn't go through the divorce. But she said, "We are back in the honeymoon phase." And then she went on to say, "We're in love again, like kids, like kids are in love."
Right.
And it was interesting for me to see that part of the show. And then next thing you know, Latoya Luckett comes on. And she's like, "We're sure not in our honeymoon phase no more. We're having
Mhm.
issues." Monica comes on and she's like, "Yeah, I'm going through a divorce." Toya comes on and she's like, "I love him. Thank God he helped me see, the light again," because she was actually afraid of even thinking about marriage again because she's been actually married twice before. So I wanted to open
Wow.
this conversation with the dynamic of that show, B, just how raw that show is because I love it. I love how straight the fuck up that show is on all their
Yeah.
lives. They don't hide shit. I genuinely feel like they put it out there for everyone to see the shit that they go through. And then I wanted to dive in a little bit on shit we've been through, on our experiences, and this little small conversation Captain Kim and I had the other day about the difference with people saying, "Oh, I love you," and people being in love with someone, and which one they hold
Mm-hmm.
on so tight to with so much leverage. So, did you get to see the
Yeah.
actual premiere, or did you see like just the previews?
I only saw like a little piece of the
Mm-hmm.
premiere. After
Mm-hmm.
you told me it was on,
Yes.
I went and found it on the app and
Mm-hmm.
I fell asleep. So
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
didn't actually get to see the entire, but I'm familiar with the show. I'm familiar with with all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think it's got it. It sounds so juicy.
Right.
I'm
Mm.
gonna get into it tonight. I
Yes.
promise. I'm gonna get into
Yes.
it tonight.
Yes. I so want you to
And
catch up.
I could just from what you shared, it's like it sounds like they have every stage of a relationship.
Right? It's like they're all just like in like this one big relationship and like put together, but they're not. They're
Right.
all like
Or,
different.
right?
Right. And it was crazy to see that, just in this preview alone, and then to watch the first episode. It's like, damn, like, you can't account for always being in love. You can't account for always being in the honeymoon phase. You know, you can,
Right.
like, one of the sentiments I share is definitely with Monica going through a divorce, because I've been through a divorce. So I share her sentiments 1000%.
Mhm.
But the one I really shared with was with Toya, when she has been so fearful of jumping into a relationship after a divorce, and she's
Mm,
been through two.
yeah.
And with her in particular is like, I feel her 100%, because I know what it's like when you think you want to give someone a chance, and you think you want to give a chance to let them in or to even remotely have feelings for them. And
Mm,
then what if it doesn't work out? What if that person doesn't feel the same for you? Or what if you find yourself, here you go again, giving and giving and giving, and that other
right.
person doesn't reciprocate? So I definitely
Right.
fell for the both of them, but mostly with Toya. Um, and the reason why is because, and I had shared this with Captain Kim the other day, I feel like a lot of people have a misconception. Um, they think that the determination to making a decision of whether you want to be with someone or not, or you see a future with them or not, is because, oh, I have to be in love with that person to know that I want to be with them.
Right.
And for some of us, we know what it is to have fallen in love with someone and
Hmm.
be with them. And despite being in love, it doesn't work out. So there's no
Yeah.
guarantee that because you fall in love, it's gonna work out. That's
Hmm.
my thought on it. I feel it's a misconception that's out there. I think that too many people don't work towards having a partnership and do not work towards having a friendship
Yes.
first and having a
Yes.
foundation.
Key words, guys.
Y-
Write those words down, guys.
like
Partnership and friendship
friendship. Thank
with
you.
Sharpie.
With Sharpie, black one. Like, I'm not trying to be mean, but it's like I know what it like. People who I've seen make it to 30 years. I'm gonna say 30 years, because there's actually a young crowd that I happen to know that I can honestly say I've seen them just now make 30 years because they got married at 18. Let's say that, right?
Hmm.
And these are couples who will say, oh no, it was never perfect. He cheated. I cheated.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah.
we've done these things to each other. Like, we've
Mhm.
stepped out on each other. We almost got a divorce. We've separated. We've done this. Like, they've gone through shit, hence relationships. They've gone through the shits. They've gone through the hard times, but they make it. And one of those people actually once said, the problem was not whether or not I loved him or I was in love with him. She's like,
Mhm.
I was sometimes in love with him and I was sometimes not in love with him, but I always knew I had love for him. And I said, okay. She was like, the problem was when I didn't like him, because the days I
Mhm.
didn't like him, that's when I wanted to kick him out. The days I didn't like him, that's when I wanted to punch him. So it's about liking the person. She's like, yeah. She's like, why would you want to be with a person you don't like? Why would you
Right.
want to be with a person who is not nice if what you want to like is someone who is nice? Why do you want to be
Mhm.
with someone who says things that you don't always agree with? Like, can you really see yourself building something with someone who sees the world completely different from you?
Right.
And I'm
Right.
like, okay, okay. And I just find it interesting to me. You see all these memes. You see people put it out there like, I want to find love. I want to be in love. I want this. I want that. And it's like, yeah, I get it. It's a beautiful feeling. Absolutely. But you know what I want? And all jokes aside, like, I know I always say I want to stay at home dad, but let me put that to the side. All jokes aside, right? I'm gonna put it to the side because I'm sure people are like, damn, Ms. D is like crazy. But people should want someone who's gonna be like, yo, that's what you want to invest in. That's what you see as a future. I bet. Like, how do we do this together? Marriage is
Right.
a business in my eyes, you know?
Yes.
Am I crazy here? Like, am I looking at things wrong, Captain Kim? Like,
No,
what is it?
no, see, no way. I too am actually in the middle of a divorce,
Okay.
and um, I can honestly say foundations for me. And that's, when you're going through any relationship and things are hard and they're tough and you're trying to figure out why is this happening? Why are we crumbling? Why are you cheating on me? Or, why are we in this space? Why are we in this
Mm-hmm.
shitty space? You never
Mm-hmm.
think about, well, how did we establish ourselves? How
Mm-hmm.
do we establish our marriage? And that's where it becomes really important, the difference between that being in love feeling and then actually just loving someone or
Yeah.
having that love for someone.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times people are reaching for that in love feeling because, like you said, it's an incredible feeling. It feels
Mm-hmm.
so good. The honey
Mm-hmm.
phase. I fell for him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm falling.
Mm-hmm.
I think I love you. All of that, and it's so beautiful. And I am a sucker. I love to be in love, and I love that feeling. And I'm sure
Yeah.
many women do.
Yeah. Yeah.
But those feelings are all conditional. Usually,
Yes.
there's a state in your relationship where you're being courted, you're getting attention 24/7. It's new and exciting. The dude is going out of his way,
Mm-hmm.
and you think this is great, this is lovely, it's gonna be like this forever,
Yeah.
right? And you're in love because of all those things.
Right.
You don't just meet somebody and fall in love. They're doing things, right?
Yeah.
They're doing things for you. You're doing things together.
Yep.
That's what brings it on. When all that stops, slows down, life gets in the way, you get comfortable,
Yeah.
that's when you see if you really do love this person, because love is unconditional. So
Yep.
if homie stops sending you flowers, he stops hitting you with the good morning messages,
Yeah.
and you're not okay
Yeah.
at that
Yeah.
point, and you're not taking all things life into consideration into your relationship,
Mm-hmm.
then that relationship's not for you.
I'm so glad you said that because I have a confession I'm going to share. I had actually thought, because I genuinely felt like I had love for someone and because I genuinely felt like I loved that person, I had actually thought that maybe it could be something more. And I had entertained with the idea. I could say that now. In the moment, I said, oh shit, I think I'm in love. I did say
Mm.
that. It was like, oh shit, because I fear that is something that I do fear. Okay. I'm hoping not
You
to fear
fear
it.
the feeling of being in
Yes.
love.
Yes, absolutely.
Mm.
Because I am a person who is way too loyal, way too trusting. I will, like, if I have to I will cut someone for you. Like,
Mm.
that's the intensity and where the passion comes from. Like, that's how I am. If I
Mm.
remotely feel like I'm in love with this man, right? Um, because I thought I was, I took initiative on certain things. It wasn't
Right.
until later, things didn't work out, certain things had changed. Um, but when it was revisited, I realized that I wasn't in love because I was able to see certain things. And I was able to see certain things that I no longer liked, certain things that had stopped happening, and certain things that had started happening.
Right.
And it goes
Wait a
back
minute, I
to,
have a question.
yeah,
I have a question.
yeah,
So you were feeling, you were thinking future for a minute, right? You said you were feeling like maybe, this could be something else or we could
yeah,
go to the level, right?
yeah.
Was that your in love feeling?
That's what I thought was my in love feeling,
So
because
why do you think it wasn't? Why are you
because
ruling it out?
because what happened afterwards was kind of like, oh, the blindfold was off.
Okay. Did something trigger that though? Like
Oh yeah.
snap you out of that?
Oh
Okay. So
yeah.
something occurred that made
Yes.
you see. Okay.
Something
I got you.
absolutely did occur. And let me just be very honest about this. My therapist knows everything. She knew exactly what the situation was. I had shared it with her because I didn't want to stumble over any issues in my future. Like for me, this was strictly about me.
Yeah.
Um, and But what I realized was my fear of this like feeling is because of how much I give and how
Mhm.
much I choose to see.
Right.
And it's not to say the person was a bad person. That's not what that's not what it's to say. It's just more so like I started realizing certain things that were not aligning with me.
Mm, right.
And it kind of falls in a situation of, it's kind of like, okay, we don't have to necessarily agree on everything, but can I compromise with that? Is that really something
Right.
I'm going to want in my life? Is that really something I'm going to want to deal with or accept?
Right.
Like it's little things like that I realized,
Mhm.
damn, how quick was it for me to forget a moment where I thought, oh, I might actually be in love with this person? But that didn't take away the fact that I have love for them. It was just kind
Right.
of like a moment of realization. Like maybe
Right.
I'm not so much in love like I thought I was, or maybe I was just never in love at all.
Right.
So it's kind of like you're right about the conditioned piece, because it's like being in love, it is supposed to be unconditional, right? But then the moment something
Yeah.
doesn't fit in that puzzle, then there all of that goes,
Right.
you
And it
know?
goes quickly.
Oh, it did.
Right.
And it's all right. It's cool. It is what it is. But you just have to like really be able to say, okay, like, are we supposed to put that much leverage into the whole piece of being in love? Or do we put more of a value, let's say, to what am I building for myself and what is this person building for themselves? And are the
Right.
pieces connected? You know what I mean? Put a lot of weight on the title of a partnership,
Mm-hmm.
because I feel like people are so easy to have more respect for that. Um, when you have a partner, there's certain
Right.
contracts involved. Um, and I'm bringing up the piece of a contract because in college, I actually took this women in health class. Actually, I think I took three. I took three.
Okay.
Yeah, and this professor was awesome. She taught us so many things, but one of the things she taught us is, you're supposed to walk into a marriage with a marriage contract. Never mind a marriage certificate. Never mind, the binding shit that the law says, oh, you're married. It's your own custom, personalized marriage contract. And in there, you write what you want it to say, like your breakdown
Right.
of what you want in your relationship. What does a partnership look like? And the reason why is because I do feel that that's how you establish and you build your partnership, in my
Right.
opinion. That's how I see it. Um, I want a contract to say, okay, which one of us is gonna work? Okay, like, do we have to make a certain amount of money? All right, if it's this
Mhm.
particular holiday, where we're gonna be, whose family, or is it just gonna be us? Who's gonna always wash the dishes, or who's gonna always do laundry? Like, who prefers what? Like, those are the little shits where I see the same way a business is successful is how a partnership should be successful between two people.
Right. Right.
And people can look at it as something small, but it's not. I've been home all these days. I hate washing dishes. I hate having to go do laundry. I hate doing this stay
Yeah,
at home mom shit by myself. Right.
right.
And I'm not just staying at home, I'm working from home. But there's certain things that I've discovered about myself that now I'm like, yo, I'm gonna really need to find somebody who's gonna understand these things. You
Yeah,
know what I'm saying? You know,
yeah.
the other piece, and it's a huge piece for me that needs to go in this partnership, is I have a son. So whoever comes into this territory needs to understand that I don't need anybody to rescue us and I don't need anybody to be a hero because I got
Mm,
this over here. I made sure of that. I made certain decisions in life to be very well prepared to take care of my son. And he has a dad who takes care of him too. So
yeah.
I just need someone coming in here to know how to have a friendship with him and to know
Mm,
how to just have mutual respect because I know I've raised my son right to know how to respect his elders and know
right.
how to respect the period. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So nobody ever has to deal with that piece. Like I got this shit. But
Yeah.
it's not something I don't think everybody knows how to walk into it.
Mm.
Um I think some people think, "Oh, it's nothing," and it is. It is something. Um
It's major.
it's
It's
huge.
major.
It's huge and I he's a 13-year-old young man. So it's like if
Yeah.
I have a man coming in here, it's like you have to know the value of a friendship when it comes to a young man is important. You know what I mean? Especially when there's an older man
Mm,
in the picture. And if
right.
you're not going to be open-minded to that, then you just shouldn't even be speaking to me at this point. I do think it's important to establish that from the beginning, especially when it comes
Right.
to a partnership.
Right. And that's the thing. Like in the beginning of a relationship, so many people are caught up in the honeymoon phase and all of that, which is fine. It's like it happens. It's the
Mhm.
natural beginning to most relationships. But people don't talk about shit anymore.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
I really think that's what it comes down to. Like being able to talk about everything
Thing. Mhm.
is so important. Even if it seems like something that's so minor, like you were talking about, you know, who's gonna do the dishes, who's gonna do the
Yeah.
laundry,
Yeah.
those believe it or not, those are the things, those are the type of things that can make or
Oh my God, thank you for saying that.
break. I'm just up in
No.
her mind, guys. I
No,
just,
thank
that's
you.
what I do.
No, because you know what it is like, and I respect the people, and I'm gonna say people because it's not just women. There are some men who will say, "Oh, I just do it just because it's easier. Like I avoid a fight, or I don't have to hear her mouth." And then there are women who are like, "Nah, I'll do the cooking. No, I just do it because why am I gonna sit here and fight with him to do it?" And to me, it's like it doesn't have to get to a fight though. Like, why can't you sit there and have a conversation?
Exactly.
Like,
Like,
I don't.
why would you even want to be with someone that you can't talk about those little tiny things with?
Right.
Like,
But there are people who do
who's gonna?
that. There are people
I
who
don't
do
know.
that.
I'm at a place where, like, been through so much in relationships where
Yep.
it's like now you see everything so much clearer. I see things so like I I try and hold back a lot, like
Yeah.
friends or like younger friends. Because it's like, all right, I could say and try and offer certain pieces of advice or like,
Yeah.
maybe you should try this. But like, sometimes you just don't get it until you've been through some shit.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, okay. I wish I would have known that. But sometimes you just got to experience all the bad shit, the relationships, as you
Yeah.
call them,
I
to
do.
really get like,
I absolutely do call them that. Do you ever wonder another piece
yeah,
of it that I think it's important to establish, and I would never say I would put this part of a contract, but I do think as an individual person, you have to be able to establish and say, is that something that I would tolerate or not? Do you think that an infidelity, do you believe that an infidelity is something that could be forgiven? She's taking a drink, y'all. Just because I asked that question, she's taking a drink right now.
it burns.
Okay.
So,
Oh
are we on
man.
video?
We are in video, but I'm not gonna put the whole video up, don't worry.
All right. So I think that in the right relationship, certain things like infidelity can be forgiven.
Mm-hmm. So you
Okay.
said infidelity.
So in the right relationship, something like infidelity
Uh-huh.
can. All right. Is this? You know why this is tricky, B? You know why?
Oh, I'm sure
Because
I know why.
it's so broad, and there's always a ton of circumstances around it. But this
Okay.
is why I say in the right relationship, right? And so when I say in the right relationship, that means that it's generally healthy, right?
Mm-hmm.
You generally can communicate well. There's not a whole bunch of crazy things going on constantly, but so you guys are not fighting all the time. Like it's a solid relationship. Listen,
Mm-hmm.
I know shit happens. Shit
Mm-hmm.
happens.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to be the one that was like, so you cheat on me, I'm gonna cut your dick off. And that's it. We're over,
Oh yeah.
right?
Oh
I
yeah.
found no excuse for that. I
Mm-hmm.
found no excuse for it. And then
Mm-hmm.
I've been in a relationship, long standing, pretty solid, not the right relationship, but a solid relationship where there's been infidelity and you got to give it another shot.
Okay. Okay.
But it's
Okay.
just one.
Right.
It's got to be just one because you don't want to create a pattern.
Right. Okay.
And I've been in that relationship too,
Okay.
where you know I'm such a forgiving person to my detriment. To my
Girl.
detriment, way too forgiving.
Yeah.
I give the benefit of the doubt, like you get a Benny and you
You
get a
Oprah girl.
Benny,
Yep. You Oprah. Yep.
and, I know I was born that way. I can't control that sometimes, and I'm also the type of person that always wants to understand, and that
Mm-hmm.
shit gets me in trouble too.
Mm.
Not to
Okay.
say it's wrong to try and understand a situation completely, but I feel like it weakens me.
Mm-hmm.
And to someone that's looking for forgiveness, they're gonna play on that. Like, oh,
Mm.
she's understanding. I'm gonna get the forgiveness card.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get out the doghouse. I'm gonna be alright.
Yeah.
You know.
It's embarrassing, but I get your point in what you're saying the one time because I think that is the piece that I can totally forgive. It would be the one time. I don't
Mm-hmm.
see myself being able to forgive more than that. Um, it's definitely a deal breaker for me, and it was a deal breaker for me when you catch the one time and then it's, oh, she's pregnant. So it's
Okay.
like, oh,
Okay. And this is what I'm saying. Sometimes it's not a one size fits all answer because there are circumstances like a baby being formed in somebody else's body that
exactly.
might change
The whole thing.
that whole rule. Yeah.
It does. It changed the whole goddamn thing. It wasn't just,
So wait, was that the one time and you forgave?
I did not forgive. It
Oh,
was it was together. The news was completely together. And
okay.
when I found out, it was kind of like, oh, okay, you did that. But then it was like, oh, and she's pregnant. And
Hmm.
it was like, see, you
You
ain't even
really did that.
you scored, my man. And it wasn't even like trying to even have any shame on this shit. It was kind of like, this is what it is.
Hmm.
And, I could have tried to put some rules on the shit, or I could have just, taken the path to say, no, this is not what I'm going to stand for. And
Right.
I didn't. I didn't. I completely decided to just walk away from it and not look back. And it was like years later, the conversation came up of, well, let's try to work things out. It was
Hmm.
about, damn, 7 or 8 years. No, I'm in this house 7 years. It was like 7 years ago. And, it's kind of like, oh, we have a child together. Like, let's try and work things out. And it's like, when you think about it, it's like, I'm not in love with you. I don't even really love you anymore. So you're going to want to have to make me want to date you.
Right.
You know, we're
Do
gonna
you feel like that was a genuine thing
no,
on his part?
no,
Okay.
no, because I still found out more stuff, girl. Even
Oh, ooh, the
yes,
baggy.
yes, yes, still found out more stuff. But you know what it is? It goes back to your point. When you're a very forgiving person and you're a person who I don't want to say tolerates, but you accept so much. Um, you give too many passes, and that's one of the things I definitely want to address in this conversation too of relationships and relationships when you give too many passes to people. And at what point do we not realize that they're starting to take advantage of it? You know, at what point do we not break a cycle? Like I'm at
Girl.
today I'm at a point, and listen, I'm not here to bash anybody, but to me it's like at what point don't you realize that they're giving too many passes, it gets taken advantage of, and then your kindness gets taken for weakness, or because
I was, yeah.
I'm a person who's so loyal, or because I'm a person who respects so much, you think, oh,
Mhm.
I just got to say this and that's that. No,
Right.
that's not what's going to keep happening. You know, at some point you do have to say, now this shit stops here. Like, I can't do this to myself. Like,
Yes.
2020 has been a shit show for the whole world at this point. You know what I'm saying? But for me, I turned 34 last year. In the last 2 years, I've learned more about myself than in the last 34 years of my life. Okay.
Absolutely.
And it comes to a point where it's like, now hold up. I could have love for A through Z, but none of y'all is getting any more passes here. So it's either
Yeah.
we're going to do things right in whatever category you fall into,
Yeah.
or we're not. And
Right.
I am a person who cuts off cold turkey. Like,
Right.
I will look at, no matter how much it could hurt me, I could look at you dead in your face and act like I didn't know you. Not a single day in my life. It's not a good trait. It's something that I know I need to
It's,
work on because it's
mhm.
not nice. It's not nice to be that way.
I wouldn't say that it's not nice because sometimes it's
Thank you.
warranted.
Oh,
Sometimes
okay.
it's warranted,
I know it
definitely.
is.
And I'm I'm the same way, but it takes me a while to get there. And
Mm,
when I get there, that's it.
yeah.
Like you thought you knew me, you thought you knew me. I was gonna forgive. I was gonna forgive. I'm gone.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
it. And like the cutoff is like complete
Mm-hmm.
emotion,
Everything.
feeling, giving a damn, worrying about you. All of that shit is gone. As
Mm-hmm.
it takes me a while to get to that point.
It takes you a while to get to that point. Okay. I heard everything else you said, but it takes a while. It takes me a while too, but I am like you. It's like once I'm there, it's a problem. And and
Hmm.
and let me be fair on something. I think I could maybe there's like just like two people in my entire life that I've completely cut off, right? I didn't talk to them for years, years. And then one day I did talk to them again. But that's not so many people that I could,
Right.
like I said, I think it's just like two people ever in my life. For me,
Wow.
it's like, for me to even get to that point, that's huge. So, what that should tell a person is don't fuck it up this time. If
Right.
we still, go our separate ways, that's fine as individuals. But if you still want to be cool, don't fuck it up this time. Like you said, it is warranted sometimes, but then at the same token, it's like we are people who give benefit of the doubt. We are
Yeah.
people who want to give people chances. We want to say, nah, that's not how they are. Let's give them that chance. And I feel
Mhm.
like when it comes to being with someone, or even just in any form of a relationship, it's like, how do you find the balance? Like, in how one person values respect and the other person values respect. And I go, I'm putting my little fingers in fucking quotations, right? Because value is a huge word, right? Not
Yes.
everybody knows what the definition of value is to begin with. And then respect is a whole other monster.
Yeah.
And what's respect to one person is not respect to the other.
Right.
Okay. So for me, it's like, do you find it that it's important to you when you are in any form of a relationship that respect is something that is held up high?
Respect is is number one,
One.
because
Okay.
that's gonna fuel the way that you carry on in a relationship and any other aspect of the relationship.
Mm-hmm.
You know, even loyalty, I
Mm-hmm.
think, is under respect, because in
Mm-hmm.
order to be a loyal person, you have to hold a certain level of respect for the other person
Mm-hmm.
that you're
Mm-hmm.
being loyal to.
Mm-hmm.
And with respect, it covers everything. I
Everything.
mean, like everything.
Mm-hmm.
The way the way that you carry yourself when you're not with your significant other, or even
Mm-hmm.
if it's a friendship, you
Mm-hmm.
know.
Yeah.
I actually had a best friend that I cut off, and this was a best friend for a long time, and it was
Wow.
the same thing like any relationship. You know, you give chances, but when they continue to do certain things that are disrespectful to you as the other part of that relationship,
Mm-hmm.
you just can't do it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually I actually talked about this on an episode when we were talking about Bustelos and Cigarillos, when we were talking about the pettiest thing you've ever done.
Oh, yes, I heard that one. That was the one that you changed the
So
seat.
yes,
Oh my
yes,
God. Yes.
that was my best friend for like since elementary school.
Wow.
And you know, you try and hold on, like you were saying, for so many reasons. You know, a lot of people put time as like an emphasis, like, but we've been friends for like 15 years. You can't just
Mm-hmm.
not be friends anymore. But let me tell you something, you can. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and I got to that point on that trip where I was like, yeah, we're done. We're done
Mm.
here.
Mm.
It was easy. When it gets to that point, it's so easy for me.
But you're right. Yeah. Yeah. That's what it is, though. Like, once you get to that point, it is so easy. And it's like, I guess it also counts into how many chances you've given or how many passes you've given. It's like, we've been cool this long. Like, how many more times do I have to sit here and be okay with whatever it is that they're doing or whatever it is that
Exactly,
they're saying?
exactly.
You know, I feel like the concept of cutting a vicious cycle is enormous, is huge. Um, and it takes a lot of, I'm not going to say strength, it takes a lot of discipline to be able to break out of a cycle, and let that be with an unhealthy friendship or an unhealthy relationship. Because how easy is it for people to suck you back in? How easy is
You
it
know
for them?
what? Yes,
Right?
yes,
Like
yes.
it.
You know what? I always say that when people say, I've had a lot of people tell me, you have a lot of strength. You left that situation, whatever the case may be.
Mhm.
Um, but I don't see it as I definitely feel like I'm a strong woman. Right. So a lot of people say you're so strong, you're so strong to do it with children, leave a
Mhm.
relationship, all those things. And I'm like, you know what? I feel like I've been strong,
Mhm.
but I lacked the follow through, which
Mm.
is the discipline. So
Mm.
when you put your foot down, it's about keeping it down now.
Yeah.
And what's the next step forward? Because
Mm.
you can make a decision, but that's just you're standing in one spot when you make a decision.
Mhm.
Nothing goes into that.
Mhm.
So it's definitely the
The
discipline,
discipline.
like you
Yeah.
said.
And it's again, it's I feel like, I've heard the whole you're strong, you're so strong with this. I've actually heard some friends say, "Yo, I admire you. I don't know how you just cut people off." And it's like, yeah, I'm able to do that, but then sometimes I'm stupid and I forgive it again. And I go
Right.
back into the cycle. So that's
Right.
where I lack the discipline. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Just because I can maintain cool with someone doesn't mean I have to continue a complete cycle. Like, at some point, I need to
Right.
own up to the discipline that requires for me to break away from the shit. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Especially if you recognize it as a cycle, it's
Right.
going to come all the way back around
It's gonna
again.
keep happening. And I think that's what really, let me say this. Fuck it. I'm gonna just take a drink. Hold on.
I'm with you, girl.
Mm.
Support.
Yes, cheers. You remember when I said before something triggered it to why I realized it was when this felt like a yo-yo. Y'all know what a yo-yo is, right? Like when you throw the yo-yo and it comes right back. That's what it felt like. Now I feel like we're losing respect. Not and that's one thing that's like huge to me. Once I feel like respect is being lost and I'm slightly feeling remotely disrespected, it's a problem. You know what I'm saying? And I go into defense mode. And that's where a whole other side of Daisy comes in. And so to avoid that, it's kind of like, okay, I got to take ownership in the shit and break this cycle. I have to break away from this. And so this is where 2020 comes in. It's been a shitty fucking year so far. We're about to be 5 months in. But I could say this. I don't want to go into my 35th year of life in the same cycle, in the same shit over and over again, like for another year. Do you know what I'm saying? You know, there's this thing, I have this new thing of time and energy. Like I don't want to waste it. I don't. I want to put it to use the right way, in the right things, in the right moments, with the right people. To think that I've been just giving the shit out away to people to do whatever the fuck they want with it on my account. It's like, no, what the fuck am I doing? For me, it's important to know where are your limits. Have you established what your limits are when it comes to, like, I already know, like 15 years into a friendship, it was like, nah, I'm going to change your seat on this airplane. And that's exactly what the fuck you did. But like, no, like knowing what you've been through already, have you established what certain limits are for you?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's a little different for friendships, you know, versus a relationship with your partner.
Okay.
But even the friendships, and like I find that really important now because like with going through separation and going through divorce and ending that 15-year relationship, you realize so much about yourself, and that carries over into all your other relationships. And I've realized now with friendships, you know, aside from like the way a divorce affects friendships, that's like a whole different episode, girl. Like I realized really that time and energy part of it was huge for me, like so huge for me. So, you know, everyone knows going through a divorce is difficult. It's energy draining. And like I found myself constantly just overwhelmed and exhausted and all those things. And then people would check up on me, friends would check up on me. And some of them just felt like such a time waster. Like, what are you doing? Like, I'm in this low place. I've got no energy. And you're calling me. I'm going to give you some of my time. But what are you bringing to the table right now? And a lot of the times it was just like digging for information. Like, I was getting ungenuine vibes.
Got it. I got it. Yeah.
You know? And it's like, wait, but that's my homie. But like, are you my homie? Like, what are we really doing on this 30-minute phone call, you know? Right. And sometimes like, you know, sometimes it's just shits and giggles, but even that, you're bringing me like something like, you know, you're bringing me laughs. It's something that's needed, but I just distanced. I didn't physically like cut off a lot of people, but I distanced myself all the way back from a lot of people that I realized like, you're not doing anything for my life. You know, you're not helping my situation at all.
Yeah.
And not to sound like people need to do things for you and that's the purpose, but you just know, like you just feel that when something's not, when it's just a waste.
When it's off. Yeah, you feel it. Do you find it that you're very intuitive with that? Because I'm very intuitive.
Yeah.
I'm very intuitive when people are different and when I feel someone's vibe is off and different. And it doesn't mean that I'm going to cut them off. I just look at them a little different. And my
Yes.
levels of respect decrease a tiny, tiny bit.
Right. And then you
Because,
find your place, right?
yes,
You're
yes.
like, okay, we could still be friends, but
But I'm going to hold you right
this
there.
part, or, you know, sometimes you got friends where all you can do is if you have to let something off your chest real quick, that's the person you go to.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have friends where you can divulge your whole life to, and it's, you know, you have that respect, and there's levels to this, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. No, there
That's
are
what I'm saying.
levels. There are. You're right. There is levels to it. But it's something that I didn't always know. I figured it out now. I figured it out today. I figured it out in different relationships I've had to deal with. It's kind of hard to be able to capture them from
Right.
the beginning. So when I do get like these vibes, when I do get like the intuition kicking in, I try now to ask the same
Yeah.
way you do and be like, yo, you
Yeah.
good? Is everything okay? Is everything fine? Like, how are you? If you're not telling me, I can't know. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? So when
Mhm.
then later you're like, oh yeah, I was feeling some type of way. See, now I'm going to look at you different
Right.
because I
Right.
take it as you were lying to me.
Right.
Omitting to me is considered lying.
Mhm.
That's how I see things.
And then that, I mean, that just blows everything up. You see everything clearly at that point, because
Mm-hmm.
how can you communicate with someone or expect someone to communicate with you if something as simple as that, answering a question truthfully, a
Mm-hmm.
minor question at that, is an
Yeah.
issue?
I start looking at people different. It's
Yeah.
about credibility to me. You know, that all
Mhm.
falls under the respect.
Yeah.
And if you're not someone who's credible, if you're not someone to me who can stick to their word, you know what I'm saying? Like, don't say it's one way and then do something different or say it was another at another point in time. Don't do
Right.
that. Because then I see you
Uh,
as someone who switches up.
yes.
And when the switch up starts happening, I'm going to look at you sideways. I'm going to look at
Yes.
you like, ugh, you're not who you said you
Mhm.
were. And I have a problem with that. I have a problem with allowing that into my space. I have a problem allowing that into my peace. You know what I mean? And it
Yes.
kind of feels like people like that sometimes need to go find totally new people to be able to take
Mhm.
them for suckers because people like
Right.
us already caught on to them.
Right. It feels like a setup, right?
Yes, I felt
Feels
set
like a
up.
setup.
I've absolutely have felt set up. It sucks. It
Yeah.
sucks to feel that
I
way.
feel like I feel like I've actually been set up.
Oh, like actual
Like
setup.
yeah. But like but yes. So I feel like figuratively it feels like a setup when somebody presents themselves one way to you and then the switch up
Yeah.
occurs.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. But I've been set up, like blatantly, like told one thing, sold one story, and then literally like the next time I saw this person, it was completely different.
Really?
Completely different.
Now, see, nobody comes around for me to see them the second time around when they change their story. They don't. You want to know why? Because they don't have a face to show me.
Yeah.
I'm a person who looks at you dead in your eyes. Like, I'm a
Yeah.
bit like talk. I like to talk about things face to face. If you're
Yeah.
someone who doesn't know how to do that, right there we have another problem. And I'm gonna look at you different. And so respect levels start changing, trust levels
Mhm.
start changing, loyalty levels start changing
Yep.
from my
Yep.
end. You know what I mean? I don't need
Yeah.
to let you know that. I don't need to report it to you at exactly what level you fall into now. But they do start changing. They do. And again, that goes with absolutely anybody, you know, whatever
Yeah.
category you fall under, that goes for anybody, you know. I'm
Yeah.
also a person who believes that you keep your friends close and your enemies closer. I've
Mm.
been taught that. The moment you lose sight of who is quote unquote an enemy, and you pick up on that, you do pick up on that. The moment you lose sight of that, be careful because they're
Yeah.
gonna come and attack. They're gonna come after you.
You ever feel like you kept an enemy too close?
Yes, I'm actually feeling that as we speak about somebody.
Okay.
I've encountered certain things recently, and
Okay.
I actually don't know how to assess this part of the situation where I feel like, all right, this is maybe too close. Because I'm
Okay.
questioning everything now. I'm questioning how genuine
Right.
this is. I'm questioning how real this is. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
You know, this is a person, I've seen how they can be with others, but then you're this way with me.
Right.
So it's like, I have to question that. You know what I'm saying? And then it's like, now you may just possibly be now way too close and I've kept you too close. And now I have to figure out how to, yeah.
Move the pieces around a little bit.
Yeah, just a tiny bit. So I gotta think very thoroughly about this, because it's like we live in a time where it's like when people want to cross you, they're gonna cross you. You know what I mean? And no one is safe at that point. You know, so it's like those are little things I have to be careful with and I have to be cautious with. Like there is nothing anybody could share about me that I haven't already shared about myself.
Right.
Ask me questions. I'll fucking tell you. Yeah, I did it. No, I didn't. You know what I'm saying? But I do feel like some people don't know anymore what it is to be genuine or what it is to be a real person. Do you know what I'm saying? Like everybody's like, oh, I keep it real. I'm real. I'm 100. Fuck that. Fuck being real. Fuck being 100. No. How about you be transparent? How about you keep it raw with me? This is why I can't be drinking on a Wednesday, guys.
Your big piece of this.
This is why. But yeah, and like this is what I'm saying. Like it's like for me, it's like it's so important to highlight these things. I don't always talk about it on every episode, but I do feel like ever so often you do need to keep it this raw with people. Kind of like a conversation where I wanted to put both segments together, where as raw as it gets, you know, meets double or nothing. It's like, let's say what the fuck it is and what it is that, you know, even for us, like two women who just in regular conversation have discovered so much in common in our past, so much in common in certain things we've been through. I am someone who is very much so in love with herself. I am very much so appreciative of me and I love me. I've gotten to that point where I am there. There is nothing absolute, even all that's wrong with it, even all my imperfections, I love them. I absolutely love them all. Like I've reached that point in my life. So at this point, it will be kind of hard for me to just settle for anything and anyone. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And it's like at that point, it's like, do I need you to absolutely be all up in my ass and glorify me? No, I don't need you to. I glorify myself. But I do need you to do fucking laundry. And I need you to be willing to be a friend to a 13-year-old young man. And I do need for you to carry the fucking trash downstairs. And maybe we do need to sign a contract before we enter the shit. Like those are things I need. And I always need to have wine in the fridge. I'm just saying. Like there's certain things that, yeah, I'm gonna need. But, you know, there's certain things I don't because I learned how to do it for myself. You know, and that's where my whole infatuation with having a partnership comes into play, as opposed to just having a relationship.
Right.
Because I think relationships are all over. I just have, I feel, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But partnerships aren't.
Right. I feel like relationships go through phases. Naturally, they go through phases, but partnerships do not.
Right.
Partnerships are hopefully we'll say a spoken set of agreements that you make with your partner.
Yeah.
And those usually are things that are firm and they're not going to change.
Yeah.
No matter what cycle of the relationship you're in. You still know at the end of it all, like this is what we're holding on to. This is our partnership. These are the things that we communicated and agreed to. And you know, you hold me down, I hold you down. All the other stuff is gonna happen. Like it's inevitable. Everybody is gonna go through something in their relationship. You know, at some level of difficulty. But if you have a true partner, then I
think everything will be good.
It's just a season, just like the regular season.
Yep, absolutely. And business go through that too, right? Businesses go through that. They go through tough times, tough seasons, tough quarters, and then they pick right back up. And that's how I see when it comes to partnerships. Do you think that the phrase notice we did not use it not once in this conversation. And I don't believe I put it in the little note I sent you about what I wanted to talk about, but I'm going to bring it up. Do you believe that the word and the definition of toxicity is overrated?
Overused?
Overused.
Yes.
Overused.
Overrated? Not at all.
No. Okay.
Toxic, if you think about that word, it should give you a nasty feeling in your gut.
It's giving me one right now.
And it's not the wine, right?
No, it's not the wine. The wine is great, guys.
It's the remedy. Girl, toxic. I was in a whole toxic relationship, not even knowing I was in a toxic relationship until, you start to see the light toward the end. And it was like, oh, that's what that fucking shitty ass feeling is. And that's why I keep getting sucked back in. And yes, it's not overrated.
Okay.
Not overused, yes. Some people
Overused.
like to throw that around now for everything.
Okay.
Like, you get into a fight. You're so toxic.
Yeah.
But that's real shit.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
real shit.
I actually saw someone, they posted, and it was a meme, and it was basically, it was a very macho type of page, and it was talking towards women about overusing the word toxicity. But they basically tried to say like, oh, it's overrated. The problem is not the toxicity itself. The problem is not the man. The problem is you. And, it was kind of like, well, no, some of y'all motherfuckers are fucking toxic. Y'all just don't even fucking know it. And I hate to say it this way, but it is. And notice how you said something like, I didn't realize I was in it. I didn't realize that it was happening. It goes back to that fucking cycle. It goes back to that. Do you think, and this is something that's very important to me, and it's something that I've established, and I've spoken about this very openly. Do you think that when it comes to a relationship evolving, do you think that sometimes you do have to leave people behind? Say it, girl.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Absolutely.
Sometimes you do. Okay.
Absolutely.
Meaning when it comes to even the friendships, like when you have something that is, let's say, intimate, and then you have these surrounding parties, when you talk about genuine happiness, genuine support, genuine, oh, I'm so happy for you guys. Do you think that those are the type of enemies you should still keep around your relationship, or those are the type that you just absolutely have to exclude? And do you think sometimes there's envy in that?
Yeah, yes, absolutely. So,
damn, Kim is giving me a look like I just triggered something.
I'm like, how deep do I want to go with this right now?
Listen, there's no obligation to go all the way deep.
Well, okay, so remember when I asked you if you ever felt like you held an enemy too close, right?
Yes, yeah.
All right. Because immediately when you said that phrase, keep your enemies close, I've done that a number of times. And I actually, there's a friend turned enemy that I kept so close that she almost is like kind of like extended family, right? And I absolutely, like, in the process of like the ups and downs of my relationship at the time, I made decisions to stay in something, and the happiness was so fake. It was so fake that I was like, wow, like.
And you were able to spot that.
I was definitely able to spot that. Definitely able to spot that. And that's the point where I decided to keep her a little bit more close, because I just thought she was out. She was out for something in my family. Put it that way.
Got it. No, I get exactly what you're saying.
Yes,
yeah.
Yes. She was out for something. And so I was like, there's no way this happening right
Yeah.
now for
Yeah.
me or any part of this.
Do you think that there's always this leeway of oversharing even within your relationship?
Oversharing with your partner?
With your partner?
In the right relationship, no.
No. Perfect.
I would have said,
gotta say it because I know what
yes,
you're gonna say.
absolutely.
Yeah.
You can't tell your partner everything. You're your own person. But in the right relationship, I think is absolutely possible.
Yeah. And there's no judgments.
And there's no judgments.
And
or
this is gonna be
hurt feelings
right.
or
Right.
things like that.
Yeah. Right. And see, that's what the perfect contract looks like to me, right? Because I should be able to tell my partner everything. No secrets. Nothing is going to be hidden. Like, I do feel like that is so, I'm going to say the word, essential in a relationship, in a real partnership. And I'm so glad you said that. That is like in a real relationship, in a real good one. Like, you don't need to do that. You don't need to worry about what you can or cannot share because that person is just going to be open-minded to it. And I think that's one of the things I look for now. To close this topic out with relationships and relationships, when it comes to family, do you find it that it's difficult to set boundaries with them, whether it comes to your own life, or your own relationship, or even like as a woman who, obviously is a single mother, is going through a time of her life. I've been through what you're going through. Like, do you find that it's hard to establish those boundaries with them? And do they get a pass all the time?
You know what? With family, I can honestly say I treat all my relationships with my family like the same.
Okay.
And not like, and that's not to say like, my family is just like my friends, but like in the relationship part of that, I didn't come from like a super tight knit family.
Okay.
There was always drama. There was always something going on. I didn't have a strong relationship with either of my parents growing up. So I don't know what that's supposed to look like. But, once I became an adult and I make these decisions about my life on my own terms now, I definitely treat it like any other relationship with, non-romantic relationship. Like, thankfully I've grown really close to my mom and now building, more so with my father. But there are still things that are like, just because, you're calling me, I'm not automatically gonna pick up my phone because, hey, my mom's calling, I'll call you back,
Yeah.
Or I'll send you a quick message if I'm in the middle of doing something, just
Okay.
I've had to learn to set some boundaries with my siblings.
Oh, okay.
It's interesting. I think there's so many with family. There's so many different dynamics involved. I'm a middle child, so I've always kind of been the one literally in the middle of everyone, trying to be a peacemaker. I'm a peacemaker. So I'm
She's a referee.
like,
remember we talked about her being a referee?
I'm a rep, like constantly trying to help figure things out between this one and that one and this one.
Yeah.
So but there's definitely boundaries there. And it's hard mostly with my siblings because we want to see the best for your family, and you can cut off family, but it's not as easy when you got to see them at Thanksgiving or at some point the cousins got to get together. I think it's more difficult to set boundaries, but it's just as important.
Yeah, it is absolutely more difficult. And that's exactly why I was asking. Because again, I get very, I get cold scissor happy and I cut people off, but I can't do that with family. Like I have done it with family, but not family who I'm very close knit with.
Right.
Obviously much closer with my siblings, and I am close to my parents in its own unique way. Close to them in the sense that I've grown up with them. Can I tell you that they know exactly who I am? No, I can't say that. You know, I don't even think that they know exactly what it is that I do now, even with the podcast, to be honest. I don't think they understand it. But you know, it is much harder to just cut people off. You know what I mean? So it's definitely interesting, you know, to think of it as to, is it so easy to cut other people off, but then with family we set boundaries, and then it's like, do we do that with others? Personally, I don't think you set boundaries with friends or with lovers. I think the way to do it, sometimes you just have to cut them off.
Right. Unless you set those boundaries from the beginning, it's
Right.
harder to do
To
that
it.
with
Yeah.
just your friends. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. One last question for you. I'm intrigued to know what you say. What is your take, advice, or truth when it comes to single parents and deciding to continue with life, open to a relationship and allowing that around their children? What is your advice on that or take on that?
I think you should always keep yourself open to the possibility of, a new relationship or
Mm-hmm.
bringing someone else into your family. I don't think you should ever limit yourself. I would just say be extremely careful and smart about
Mm-hmm.
it,
Mm-hmm.
especially if your child has seen a negative relationship or has experienced any part of a toxic relationship. You
Mm-hmm.
absolutely would never want to bring that around your child again. So take it slow.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the way you've done it in the past with building a friendship,
Mm-hmm.
having someone build a friendship with your son, I
Mm-hmm.
think that's super important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Definitely super important.
Yeah, for
But don't
sure.
limit yourself. It's scary. Personally speaking, it's super scary to think about that, to think about anybody, trusting anyone to be that close with your children
Yeah.
because you want to protect them and you don't want them to see you fail
Yeah.
again,
Mm-hmm.
for lack of a better term.
Right.
Um, so just, I would just say take your time,
Yeah.
and be sure
Yeah.
and be sure you have your boundaries established, you have your contracts in place,
Yeah.
you fully committed to that
Yeah.
before you introduce your children
Yeah.
into even just the idea of that.
So, all right. So I'm out of questions and I'm out of conversation and girl chat at this moment. Anything else you want to add? Anything else you want to say?
Let me see. I think I'm gonna have some more of my whiskey
Y'all,
as we prepare to close up. Let
I'm
me
gonna
see
chug
here.
this little bit of wine that I have left.
Whew,
But this is what we
girl,
needed. I needed some girl talk,
this is good
honestly.
combo. I'm
Yeah.
so amazed that you touched upon like so many relevant things in my life personally right now. I'm like, she in my head.
Yeah, me and Captain Kim do this shit all the fucking time. Like
It's
we
crazy.
talk about shit, we're like, me too. That's like our famous little like, me too. It's crazy. It's insane. I'm always ever so grateful for you coming on this platform. I think your crew might be like, yo, Daisy's always stealing her. I'm not trying to steal
Yo.
her. But I do love when she comes over here. I know
It's a
Captain Kim always
time.
has a lot of shit to say. But I just, wait till we're back in the studio. Well, they're back in the
Yeah.
studio. My studio's in my house, but wait on it because there'll be what is it like when the bridge? Is it a bridge? Y'all, I had too much wine. What is it? It's when and when we merge. When we merge, I'm like the bridge. When we merge, you see my hand?
She's like making a drawbridge. Two
Yeah, I'm making
sides
a drawbridge.
connecting.
I'm out of it, guys. This is a lot of intense conversation. Um, but I am ever so grateful you came on this platform and chose to speak on something that we tend to talk on the side, like just woman to
Yeah.
woman. We chat about all the time, and conversation just flows between us, and it just flowed just now too. Like even on certain things, like it wasn't even planned out. Not like
Yes,
we're planning
yes,
purposely on what we're gonna say, but it just didn't even, get written down on a flow. And it ended
yes.
up flowing anyway. Is there any last words you want to say to the listeners?
Don't be afraid to cut shit off if you need to.
Yes.
And then keep your foot down after you put it down.
I'm gonna
I
take her
think I
advice.
definitely want to. I definitely want to highlight that you said that, and I was like, you know what? Yes, discipline. That was
Yeah,
huge, and
it's
I never thought
discipline.
about that.
Yeah.
But that is super important. Follow through, guys. It's all in the
Yeah.
follow through. And there's nothing wrong with setting boundaries.
Yeah.
It actually all it does is show that you're solid in who you are.
Mm-hmm.
You know what it is that you want. You know what it is that you're willing to deal with, and
Mm-hmm.
there's
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. Absolutely. Thank you for that. And yeah, with that being said, we leave you with Captain Kim's advice. You already know whenever you want to hear her on the side with her crew talking, they're on all platforms. It's every other week on audio and for sure on YouTube. The
Actually, we just switched up our drop schedule because we were
Oh,
recording every week now, ladies and
yeah.
gentlemen. More Bustelos and Cigarillos for you.
Oh, y'all don't understand. Like I was suffering through withdrawal at one point because I genuinely love their dynamic, all of them. And there was one point where I was like, I gotta wait another week. Hold
I know
on.
it sucked. It sucked, and it's so crazy that it took something like this for us to really just
Yeah.
fucking figure it out, so we
Yeah,
could do it every
yeah.
week. So,
I'm really proud of
so
you
we're
guys.
doing it. We're
Yeah.
doing it. So now we're dropping every Wednesday
Okay, cool.
and videos on Fridays.
Videos on
So
Fridays.
yeah, you can stream us on
Perfect.
Wednesdays and watch us on YouTube on Fridays.
Well, I'm excited. I keep them. They're definitely on my top podcast choices, and I keep the alerts on because I always like to hear the shit that they have to say. So definitely tune into their pod too. They're pretty awesome. Always a good time and a good laugh to listen in on the shit that they talk. It's always very, what is it, bold and smooth. That's what it is. That's what it
Bold
is.
and smooth.
Bold and smooth. I will leave all that info in the show description. Captain Kim, thank you once again for joining me on another week here on Double Dose of Raw Talk podcast with your host, Miss D. You already know she's going to be a frequent guest here because Captain Kim. There's
I'll be
nothing else to say here.
back.
Yeah, it's just Captain Kim. That's just how we vibe in these days. And stay tuned. Apparently, y'all gonna see more of me. By the time you hear this, my ass would have already been on a battle that Captain Kim put me on.
That is right.
So what are we gonna do, guys? What are we going to do? Like I said, thank you again for joining in to another week, and we will talk to you next week. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode. And remember, if you are ready to launch your podcast or rebrand your current podcast, this is the time. Go to my show description, Idea to Launch Academy. There is a link right there for my code. Use it and get going. This is your moment. This is your chance. Go and start that podcast within 30 days. See you next week.